Today we are going to make Monte Cristos. If you've never seen the movie, that's from the movie. This is what a Monte Cristo looks like. We've talked about it a little bit in class before. You don't see them in a ton of restaurants lately, but I know I mentioned that Cheddar's way over on the east side used to do a Monte Cristo hot dog even. So it's basically just the sandwich that you're going to make. You're going to batter it like you would French toast, and then you're going to pan fry. And pan fry, remember, is where about half of it will be submerged. You'll flip it one time to cook the other side. So you're just going to have to trust me on this flavor combination and give it a try. I really want you to try it in the form that it's in, and if you don't like it that way, then you can make it a different way the next time. But I want you to try it with all of the ingredients, even if you don't like mustard or you think powdered sugar is weird. I want you to try it. So the first thing we're going to do is a little bit of oil in a skillet. And if I'm absent that day, then I would just already have it there for you. So you're going to pan fry, which means you don't need a ton of oil. So a little bit of oil in a skillet, about a half an inch. Lay out the bread on the cutting board, mustard, mayo, and just like I said, even if you don't like mustard, you can't stand mayo, use them both. The flavor combination and the texture, and you just got to have them both. So one with each. I'm basically showing you how to make a sandwich here. So cheese, ham, turkey, second slice of cheese, bread, or whatever you do, just make sure the cheese is closest to the bread because that does really give you your best outcome here. So it's just a little bit of meat. It's not going to be piled high. You're just going to have a little bit. It's one slice of each per sandwich. If your group has 5 people in it, then you need to make 2.5 total sandwiches. Half a sandwich is a serving, and if you think that doesn't sound like very much, I think you will understand once you eat it because they are very, very rich. So a half a sandwich is a serving. So if you got, like I said, if you have 5 people in your group, then you need 5 pieces of cheese, you need 5 pieces of bread, you need 5 of everything. And in that case, you're just going to cut it diagonally, this piece of bread, and then you're just going to make the sandwich the same. Okay, so cut sandwich in half diagonally. This is mostly just for plating. You could, of course, cut it the other way, but it looks nicer when it's plated when you cut it in half diagonally. We're going to mix egg and milk in a shallow dish, whisk it together. Pie pan, cake pan, either one of those works just great. And then you're going to dip the sandwich halves into the egg mixture. Let it soak in just a little bit, but not much. The bread's going to get soggy and the sandwich will fall apart. You just want it to be coated. We're using Texas toast for this one. The really thick bread does help it stay together a little bit more. If you have slightly stale bread, that actually works great for this if you didn't know that about French toast too. So, like I said, a little bit on each one. If you need just a tiny bit more mixture, if you have 5 people in your group, then just ask another group if you can use a little bit of theirs, or if you need to, you can go get a whole other egg and some milk. There should be enough in the classroom. A little shake to get off the excess egg wash before we put it in the oil. And then we're going to check to make sure our oil is ready. Remember our trick for making sure the oil is ready, we're going to stick our wooden spoon in there and bubbles will form around it. If your oil is smoking, it is too hot. So just some bubbles around it. If you have it on 6 or 7 or 8, then you're going to need to turn it down because it will just get too hot. So otherwise, you can of course temp it. Thermometer between 360, 370 will be perfect for our frying temp. So this is going to go in. You want it to be well assembled, and you're just going to gently place it in there. After it's done on one side, so this would be done, then I'm going to flip it. It's just going to take a minute or 2 on each side. I'm going to flip it and get the other side. I'm going to, if it's trying to fall apart, hold it together with the tongs. And then sometimes if it's trying to fall apart, if it's just really giving that effort, then you might need to use a turner. Kind of slide the turner over there, under there, and use the tongs to flip it too. You don't want the ham to get loose in the oil and it's just going to start popping everywhere. So do your best to keep it together and flip it when it's ready. Once it's browned on both sides, place on a cooling rack with paper towels underneath, or just place straight on paper towels. I just like this method better because it does give a chance for the grease to kind of drip down instead of it sitting on there. If your oil's at the right temperature, it's not going to be super greasy and soggy, so make sure your oil's at the right temp. And then that is what your finished sandwich will look like. Once you're done with that, you're going to turn off your heat, move your oil in your pan to an off burner so that it can cool off while you eat. And then you're going to use raspberry jam and a powdered sugar. So, like I said, for plating purposes, that diagonal looks kind of nice. So you'll see this, and then of course this is one person's and this is another person's. So you might just want to put one on your plate, and that's fine. It's just a little bit of raspberry jam spread on top, and it kind of melts. And then use your wire mesh sieve to dust some powdered sugar on top, and then go ahead and eat it. You don't need to wait until your whole group is done to sit down for this one. Whenever someone's is done, they can go sit down and eat, because you can do 2 of them, even 3 of them at a time. So you can sit down and eat, and then you're going to come back to your kitchen. Once your oil has cooled enough that it won't melt the container, you're going to strain it with your wire mesh sieve. So remember this thing that you just used for the powdered sugar. You're going to strain your oil. So I would strain it into a bowl, and then you're going to funnel the oil, the strained oil, back into an empty oil container. So just use a funnel. Funnels are in kitchen 4, and strain it back into, funnel it back into an empty oil container. We can use it several times before it's bad. So if it's not cool enough by the end of class, 1 metal bowl on the cart, pour all the oil into it, and later today our substitute or myself or a TA or someone else can put the oil in a container, but I only want 1 bowl of it, not a bunch of bowls of it. So it can be put back in there. Okay, so more information like we talked about earlier. A half a sandwich is a serving. It's also really good if you do a PB&J with it. That's not to try here, but we always like to give some twists to it. And then make sure you leave out your pan to be checked for cleanliness before you put it away, so we can run our hands on the inside of the pans and make sure. Sometimes the spot, you can see the line where you were cooking with oil, and just make sure that that's really clean. Remember, those green scrubby pads are in the red cart top drawer, and you're probably going to need one of those today. So that is the end, and I hope that you enjoy.